everyone, I'm Emma. Like, share, and subscribe now.
Hey, I'm Jackson. Let's continue today's topic.
Someone in a meeting in London speaks too fast. A colleague in New York uses an expression you have never heard. Someone in a Dublin cafe gives you directions, and you catch about half of them. What do you say? Most English learners freeze. Some say, "Sorry, I do not understand," and feel embarrassed. Some say nothing and pretend they understood, which causes bigger problems later. Today, we give you a third option. Phrases that keep the conversation alive, make you sound natural, and get you the information you need, without ever saying, "I do not understand."
Welcome to Simple English Talks. And I have to be completely honest, this topic is one I personally needed for years before anyone explained it properly. I used to say, "I do not understand," and then feel the conversation become slightly awkward. Or I would nod and pretend, and then have no idea what was happening for the rest of the meeting. Neither worked, and nobody ever gave me the phrases that actually solved the problem.
And that is exactly what today is about. By the end of this episode, you will have phrases for every type of not understanding situation. When someone speaks too fast, when you miss one word, when a whole sentence is unclear, when an expression is new to you, when you need something repeated without feeling awkward. And you will understand why these phrases make you sound more fluent, not less, than simply saying, "I do not understand." Let us start with why.
Before we dive in, tell us in the comments, what do you currently say when you do not understand something in English? Do you say, "I do not understand"? Do you say sorry? Do you just nod? Write your answer. We genuinely want to know what is happening right now in real conversations.
Let us start with the unexpected truth. "I do not understand" is grammatically correct. It is clear, it communicates the problem. So why is it the wrong phrase to use in most situations? 3 reasons.
I have always assumed it was the right phrase. It says exactly what is happening. I do not understand. What is wrong with that?
Reason 1. It closes the conversation rather than directing it. When you say, "I do not understand," you put the entire responsibility back on the other person to figure out how to help you. But you have not told them what the problem is. Did you miss one word? Was the whole sentence unclear? Was it too fast? Was it an expression you did not know? "I do not understand" gives them no information about how to fix it. Compare that with, "Sorry, could you say that last part again?" Which is specific. The person knows exactly what to repeat. The conversation continues efficiently.
So, the more specific your clarification request, the faster the problem gets solved?
Always. Reason 2. "I do not understand" can accidentally signal a bigger problem than there is. If a native speaker hears, "I do not understand," they might think your English level is quite low. But actually, you might have missed one word in an otherwise perfectly understood sentence. The gap is tiny, but the phrase makes it sound enormous. Compare that with, "Sorry, I did not quite catch that last part," which signals, "My English is fine, I just missed something small." Completely different impression.
That is so important. The phrase you choose changes what people think about your English level, even when the actual misunderstanding is identical.
Reason 3. "I do not understand" has an emotional weight to it that the alternative phrases do not have. It can feel like an admission of failure, especially in professional settings in New York or London, where people feel pressure to understand everything. Alternative phrases, "Sorry, could you slow down a little?" Or, "Just to make sure I have got that right," feel like normal communication tools, not admissions of failure. Tools. And native speakers use them too, constantly.
Wait, native speakers also use these phrases? They also ask people to repeat or clarify?
All the time. Every single day. In every office and every conversation in every city in the world. Communication is imperfect. People speak over each other, accents differ, background noise interrupts. Native speakers ask for clarification constantly. The difference is, they do it with specific, elegant phrases that keep the conversation moving. That is what we are learning today. Let us organize this by situation, because different types of not understanding need different phrases. Situation 1. You understood most of what someone said, but missed one specific word or part. This is the most common situation. Someone speaks a long sentence and one word is unclear. You do not need the whole thing repeated, just that one part.
I always ask them to repeat everything in this situation, but I only needed one word. And asking for the whole thing again feels like a lot.
And that is why these targeted phrases are so useful. Phrase 1. Sorry, did you say, followed by your best guess at the word. Sorry, did you say Thursday or Tuesday? Sorry, did you say the 3rd floor or the 4th? You are confirming a specific detail, not saying you are lost. This is incredibly natural. Native speakers use this all the time in busy London offices and loud Chicago restaurants.
That is so much more natural than asking for the whole thing again.
Phrase 2. Sorry, I did not quite catch the last part. Could you say that again? This phrase is perfect when the end of the sentence got lost. I did not quite catch is a much softer version of I did not understand. Quite catch is casual, natural, and used constantly in British English especially. In London and Manchester, you hear this phrase in every workplace every day.
The word quite does a lot of work there. It softens everything.
Phrase 3. Sorry, which part did you say? Or, which day did you say? Which name did you say? Which number did you say? Asking which immediately focuses the clarification. You are signaling, I got most of it, I just need that one specific piece confirmed. Very efficient, very natural. Phrase 4. Sorry, did you say X? I just want to make sure I have got that right. This one adds a confidence signal at the end. I just want to make sure I have got that right. Implies your understanding is generally good, you are just double-checking one detail. Very professional, very natural in any English-speaking work environment, from Edinburgh to New York.
That last phrase sounds really confident, actually. It does not sound like you are confused. It sounds like you are precise.
Exactly the effect we want. Being precise sounds intelligent. Being confused sounds uncertain. Same situation, completely different impression, depending on the phrase you choose. Situation 2. Someone is speaking too fast, or they have a strong accent, or there is background noise. You need them to slow down or repeat, but you want to do it without making them feel like they spoke badly.
This is the situation I find most difficult. Because asking someone to slow down feels like you are criticizing how they speak, and I do not want to make them feel bad.
And that sensitivity is actually very good. It means you are thinking about the other person, and these phrases protect them while getting you what you need. Phrase 5. Sorry, it is a bit loud in here. Could you say that again? This is the most diplomatic phrase for when you need a repeat. You put the blame on the environment, not on them, not on yourself. The noise is the problem. Could you say that again? Is the request. Nobody feels bad. In a pub in Manchester or a busy cafe in Dublin, this is completely natural and accepted.
That is genius. You are not saying, I did not understand. You are saying the environment interrupted communication, which is often literally true anyway.
Phrase 6. Sorry, I want to make sure I catch everything. Could you go a little slower? This one is direct about needing slower speech, but frames it as your desire to catch everything, rather than their fault for speaking fast. You want to make sure you catch everything. That is professional, attentive, careful. Nobody is criticized. The request is made politely.
I would feel comfortable using that phrase even with a very senior person. It sounds professional, not like I am struggling.
Phrase 7. Sorry, could you repeat that? I want to make sure I understood correctly. Adding, I want to make sure I understood correctly at the end transforms the request. It signals that you care about accuracy, which is a professional quality. Not, I didn't understand, but I want to be precise. Two very different impressions. Phrase 8. Sorry, one more time. I want to get this right. Very casual, very natural. One more time is shorter and warmer than could you repeat that. I want to get this right signals care and professionalism. Works perfectly in informal conversations. With a colleague in Chicago, a friend in London, or a stranger in Amsterdam.
Write in the comments, which of these phrases do you think you will use first? The environment blame one? The I want to catch everything one? Tell us. We want to know which feels most natural to you.
Situation 3. Someone uses an expression, or a phrase, or a concept you have never heard before. You understood all the individual words, but the meaning is unclear. This is different from missing a word. This is a vocabulary or cultural gap.
I find this the most difficult situation because saying, I do not know what that means feels very exposing, like I am revealing a big gap in my knowledge.
And yet, not knowing an expression is completely normal, even between native speakers. British expressions confuse Americans. American slang confuses British people. Regional phrases within the same country confuse each other. Asking what an expression means is not a weakness. It is curiosity. And these phrases frame it as curiosity rather than ignorance. Phrase 9. Sorry, I do not think I am familiar with that expression. What does it mean? The phrase, I am not familiar with, is very different from I do not know. Not familiar with suggests it might be regional, new, or specialized. Not that your English is limited. It is precise and dignified.
Not familiar with. I like that. It sounds like a considered intellectual response rather than an admission of a gap.
Phrase 10. Sorry, could you explain what you mean by that? Very direct, very neutral. Could you explain what you mean signals that the meaning is genuinely unclear, not that your English is the problem. This phrase works for expressions, for concepts, for ambiguous statements. It is a professional tool. In any London boardroom or New York meeting, people say, could you explain what you mean by that? Regularly. It is not unusual. It is encouraged.
Really? Even senior people ask that?
Senior people ask it most because they have learned that assuming you understand when you do not causes far bigger problems than asking. Phrase 11. That is a new one for me. What does it mean? This phrase is warm, honest, and slightly charming. That is a new one for me says, I am learning, I am curious, I am engaged. It is not embarrassed, it is interested. Native speakers say this to each other constantly when they encounter new slang, regional expressions, or technical vocabulary. It is a completely human response.
That is a new one for me? I'm going to start using that phrase about the phrase itself.
Phrase 12. Sorry, I just want to check I understood that correctly. Do you mean, followed by your interpretation? This is the most sophisticated clarification technique. You attempt your own interpretation and ask them to confirm or correct it. Do you mean that the deadline has moved? Do you mean we should take a different approach? This shows that you were listening. You processed the information and you are trying to understand, not just asking for a repeat. In professional settings in Edinburgh, London, or Chicago, this phrase makes you sound genuinely competent. Situation 4. You understood the words, but your brain needs a moment to process the meaning. This happens in fast conversations, complex discussions, and high-pressure situations. You are not confused. You just need 3 seconds to catch up.
This happens to me in meetings constantly. The words make sense individually, but I need a moment to put them together. and while I am doing that, the conversation has moved on.
Phrase 13. Sorry, let me just make sure I have that right. So, what you are saying is, followed by a summary. This phrase does something brilliant. It slows the conversation to your pace while adding value. You are summarizing, which is a positive contribution, and the processing happens naturally during the summarizing. Nobody knows you needed the moment. They just see someone who is careful and thorough.
That is such a smart reframe. Instead of needing a moment, you are contributing a summary. Same action, different impression.
Phrase 14. Give me a moment to make sure I have this right. Direct, honest, professional. Asking for a moment in English is completely acceptable. In fact, it signals thoughtfulness. I do not want to respond without fully understanding. That is intelligence. That is care. Nobody in a London meeting or a New York discussion will think less of you for saying, "Give me a moment." They will respect it. Phrase 15, just to make sure I am following. Could you walk me through that again? Walk me through is a beautiful phrase. It means explain it step by step. Guide me through it. Could you walk me through that process again? Could you walk me through the timeline? It signals that you want to understand deeply, not just hear the words. It is used constantly in professional English, from Edinburgh to Los Angeles. It is a power phrase disguised as a clarification request.
Walk me through. I have heard that so many times and never used it myself. From today, that changes.
Let us put this all together in a real conversation. You are in a meeting in London. Your colleague speaks fast, uses an expression you do not know, and gives you a lot of information. Watch how to handle it using today's phrases, without ever saying, "I do not understand."
I will be the colleague. Go ahead.
So the plan is to fast-track the deliverables by end of play Friday and loop in the stakeholders before we touch base with the client.
Sorry, could you slow down a little? I want to make sure I catch everything. So the deliverables, that is the project outputs, by Friday. But I am not sure I am familiar with end of play. What does that mean exactly?
End of play means end of the working day, 5 o'clock.
Got it. And loop in the stakeholders. So you mean include the relevant people before the client call?
Exactly. Before we touch base, which just means before we have a quick call with them.
Okay, just to make sure I have that right. You want the outputs finished by 5 on Friday, the key people informed before that, and then we have a call with the client after. Is that right?
That is exactly right. Did you use "I do not understand" even once?
Not once. I asked to slow down, I asked about 2 expressions, I summarized to confirm, and I understood everything.
And you sounded competent and professional throughout. Not confused, not lost. Engaged and thorough. That is what these phrases do. They change the entire impression while solving the exact same problem.
Write in the comments, which phrase from today's conversation example do you want to try first? Walk me through? Just to make sure I have that right? That is a new one for me. Tell us your chosen phrase.
What an episode! The simple shift from "I do not understand" to any of today's 15 phrases changes everything about how you come across in English conversations. You go from someone who signals confusion to someone who signals precision, care, and engagement. Same situation, completely different impression.
Let us bring together the key things from today. 1. I do not understand closes conversations, gives no direction, and accidentally signals a bigger problem than there is. 2. When you miss a specific part. Sorry, did you say? I did not quite catch. Could you say that again? 3. When you need someone to slow down. Sorry, it is a bit loud in here. I want to make sure I catch everything. One more time. I want to get this right. 4. When an expression is new. I am not familiar with that expression. Could you explain what you mean? That is a new one for me. Just to check, do you mean 5, when you need processing time? Let me make sure I have that. Give me a moment. Could you walk me through that again?
Your challenge this week. The next time you do not understand something in English, use any phrase from today instead of I do not understand. Any one of them. Just try it once and notice how differently the conversation flows. And notice how differently you feel. Write in the comments and tell us what happened.
And tell us, which situation is hardest for you? Missing a word? Needing a repeat? An unknown expression? Processing time? We want to know so we can make more episodes that help with exactly the right situations.
If this episode helped you, please share it with one person who learns English. This kind of practical knowledge changes real conversations immediately. Subscribe to Simple English Talks. New episodes every week. And we will see you next time.
This is Simple English Talks with Emma. See you next time.